What do we have here? This is my 1997 Toyota Land Cruiser. I'm going to show you what makes it special and things that it has that new Toyotas really don't. Some mechanical issues that I've had with it, and just some other celebrities like PewDiePie that has one as well, and Joe Rogan. So stay tuned. Now this is my Toyota Land Cruiser. I'm going to show you what it is, and what it has, and what makes it special. Alrighty, this is what it is. Got nice big windows, big mud tires. Those are 315 75 R16s. Okay, and I'm going to show you the back hatch here. Nice the way this opens up, and that actually makes like a nice little bench seat. And then come around this side. These windows are pretty cool because they open up both ways. And this is just the back seat. A little dark, I know. It's kind of night. It's getting to be dusk, but not a lot there. But you know, these things actually have a third row. Here, I'll show you where they bolt down. But I've actually took it out. If you see that bracket there, and there's one on the other side. See that right there? And that right there, that's just the standard mounting point for the third row, as well as these points right there. I've actually taken them out because I don't really see a need, but there's plenty of storage back here. You get compartments there, and if you look, that little thing right there, that is actually an ashtray for your third row. So your kids can smoke. And then of course these open up like so. And you can, of course the other side opens as well. Definitely pretty neat. Here we have the passenger seat. That's my repair manual for it. Do not think that these are completely bulletproof just because they are Toyotas. They're still a 26-year-old vehicle that still can have problems. Of course, there's the stereo. Look, it even has a cassette. And I'm missing the knob. I've actually had to replace this module right here. Okay. Then you actually have the power antennas, like Doug DeMero talks about. And then there's the shifter. Of course, you have high, neutral, and low range. High is what you normally drive around in. Neutral is if you were towing it behind like your RV. You could put the transfer case in neutral, and then of course you just have your low range. And low range is just gear reduction. About the fastest you can go is maybe 25-30 miles an hour. And that's good for rock crawling and serious expeditions, and you know, just really getting out in the wilderness. And then more on that later. And then of course you have your power button and your second start button. The power button changes your shift points in the EC, the electronically controlled transmission, ECT module. So you push that, it puts it in a mode where it shifts a little harder and faster. And then this button there will make it the second start button. Let's see if I can get that up there. Yep, there it is, the second start button. It actually makes it so it starts off in second gear. I'm not quite sure what that is for and why you would need that. Maybe for rock crawling, there might be a application for that. but I generally like the power button on. Let me climb up in here and talk about it. That is, if you look over here, this button right here is actually not factory. I installed that later, and what that does is it allows you to lock your center differential while in high range. And therefore, because normally this is a full-time four-wheel drive. See, this does not have two-wheel drive by any means. It's a full-time system. It's always in four-wheel drive. There is a differential between the two drive shafts, and I'm going to get underneath the vehicle and kind of show you what I'm talking about, that allows the two to vary. Your two output drive shafts that go to your front axle and your rear axle underneath somewhere, the seats, to vary for when you go around a corner. But however, that can in turn hurt your ability to get traction. So they made it a limited slip with viscous couplings. Or you just, with this installed button, $61 on eBay. In fact, Toyota was so kind to actually give you a harness to plug it into from the factory. And you just simply relocate this stupid security light down here, which was pointless, and put this light up here. And you can install that. And so therefore, that's just kind of my bit on the four-wheel drive. The basic four-wheel drive. Now this one is actually equipped with the front and rear electronic lockers, which kind of makes it a little bit special. And this was actually the first year that they offered that. Or actually the last year, sorry. Ugh. Come down. Come around. Lost a fender flare, taking it off-road. There's the this front end bumper. I've kind of messed up my bumper when I broke that fender flare there. I got stuck in a ditch once. So I'm probably just gonna get the big ARB and let me climb in and kind of show you the front. Change camera hand so I can start the thing up. Got the lights on. Okay. Definitely runs like a top. So, yeah, I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as... Okay, so let's say you're normally driving wrong. You're in good old high range, but yet now you've just, you know, seen some just big giant boulders or whatever that's going to require difficulty. You just shift into neutral, or neutral there. Take this all the way down. If you notice, okay, now my center diff lock light is on. So that means that my two drive shafts are locked together. And because of that, that actually has turned the ABS off. That's kind of one of four-wheel drive's dirty little secret, is that when you go into four-wheel drive and you lock your two drive shafts together, you cannot have ABS. And the reason why when you don't see any lights or anything like that come on in most vehicles is because they can't have everybody calling up the service department, at the dealer, at, you know, wherever auto repair place you go, saying that every time they go into four-wheel drive, high or low, the ABS light comes on. So they just kind of turn it off in secret. But believe me, it shuts it off. Now you come down here to this. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this module, this little guy right here, come on, move it over. Now I get my rear diff lock flashing. The reason it's flashing is because this four-wheel drive system was actually modeled after the G-Wagon, the Mercedes G-Wagon, which uses the same setup as far as just the full-time system. And Mercedes was actually the first to come out with the electronic locking differential. And Toyota saw it and they thought, oh, we need to offer that on our Land Cruiser, because this was supposed to be Toyota's big flagship SUV. In fact, they even had a Lexus version called the LX 450 because it's a 4.5 liter engine. And so they rushed the development and they actually made it so that the locking mechanism only has 3 splines. So that means the differential will have to spin a good probably 10-20 feet before the rear locker will engage. Now the front locker was a little better. See, now I've just kicked it on. But if I just jerk my wheel here a little bit, I could probably get the front to lock. See? There it went. But the rear is still flashing. That's because I was able to get my front locked, but yet my rear didn't. So let me just go ahead, take my front locker off. The rear locker is still flashing. I'll take it all off. And then I'll put this sucker back in high range while I'm still in neutral. Lights go out, ABS is functioning again. Now, what if you want to drive around, say, in sand? You don't want to be in low range and you want to use your locker. That's where this magic button has come in. I push it, my center diff is locked, my ABS is off, but what do you know? I'm still in high range. In fact, I can even still come over here. You might be able to see it. Probably not, really. I can do my rear locker. And now if I was to just roll a little bit, I could lock my rear diff and I could say create a situation where I've got my front end open and it's unlocked, and then my rear diff is locked, and I could say drive around on sand or mud, or maybe just like on the beach, or I could even come along if I really wanted to. I could be in high range. I could lock the front, because the only thing that tells this front differential locker module the green light is whether or not it is in. It's not so much as whether or not it's in high range or low range, it's whether or not the center diff is locked and locking the front or rear. Alrighty, now this is just underneath. This is just the standard solid axle front end. This is a little different setup than what most vehicles have. They use something called a closed ball knuckle design. And if you look over here in this one, it may not show up real well, but it doesn't use a U-joint there. It uses a ball knuckle. And again, axle, pretty heavy duty all the way through. And if you look there, uses a third member. Let's see if I can get a better shot of that. A third member there, and then there's a differential actuator in there. See it? Okay, then we move on. Simple drive shaft. That's the transfer case. That's the differential. That's where the center differential is. As well, transfer case. rear axle, big 35 mud tires. And if you're wondering, this is a 3-inch lift, and I really like this Old Man Emu lift kit. It's just, there's no other work other than just taller shocks and taller springs over there. See how I'm pointing at it with my foot? And you do have to take these radial trusses out, and then there's different inserts that go in there, and that in turn corrects the caster. So alrighty, I would say that sums up just kind of everything there is to know about my 80 series Land Cruiser, and I'll see you in the next video.